In this video, we will find out whether the Smooth 5 or the Crane M3 is the best smartphone gimbal that you can buy at the moment. Hey, what's up everybody? Julian from smartphonefilmmakingpro.com here, the ultimate online course about smartphone filmmaking. And today we will compare the two arguably best smartphone gimbals that you can buy as of recording of this video. Both of them are from the company Zhiyun or Zhiyun. Sorry for pronouncing that wrong all the time. It's the Crane M3 that we have here and the Smooth 5 that we have on the other side. Both gimbals are pretty different, but both of them deliver absolutely amazing results, and we have several different categories. We will compare them side by side, and I will give you ultimately my thoughts on which is the better gimbal for you. But before we hop into the comparison, make sure that you hit the subscribe button. It helps out the channel, it helps out the algorithm, and it makes it possible for me to make more videos for you guys. But now let's come to the first category. So the first category that I have for you is the price and the packaging content. And both gimbals come in several different packages, so it very much depends on for what package you're going for. But the cheapest way to get the Smooth 5 is when you basically just get the gimbal like this. This will cost you around about $190, and with the Crane M3, that's a more expensive gimbal, this will come in at around about $360. With the Smooth 5, you have the option to go for the combo package. Then you also get a little carrying case, you get this table tripod, you get the small light up there, and that's basically it. And this will run you at around about $220. With the Crane M3, on the other hand, you also have the option to go for the combo and the pro package, and then you will also get a very nice carrying case. I love the design of that. You will also get even a microphone, you will get adapter cables, you will get a Bluetooth attaching thing that you can use to attach it to your camera, and this will run you a whopping $700. So depending on what option you're going for, the Smooth 5 is always gonna be cheaper. And that's why the first point goes to the Smooth 5. Second category that I have for you is the payload. This is a big topic for us smartphone filmmakers because we not only want to use our smartphone, we also maybe want to use some add-on lenses, some filters, and so on. And with most smartphone gimbals, this is where they start to struggle. But with both of these, you probably won't have a problem. The Smooth 5 has a payload of 300 grams, and just so that you have a reference, I was using it with my iPhone 13 Pro, and I was putting on some big ass ND filters with a thread of 82 millimeters, and it was handling it like a champion. So for me personally, that is just enough. But on the other hand, the Crane M3, that's the big boy that has a payload of up to 1 kilogram. And that's also what makes it possible to use the Crane M3 also with normal DSLR cameras. So obviously the Crane M3 has a much bigger payload, and this is also what makes it super easy to use it with smartphones because it's just nowhere near at its maximum capacity. So this point goes to the Crane M3. The third category that I have for you is the balancing part. How easy is it to get the phone balanced with these gimbals? I have a full video on YouTube where I show you how you can balance the Smooth 5. With the Smooth 5, it's pretty simple. At the back of the gimbal, you have a little lock button, and that's basically the position that you have for traveling, for example. If you unlock it, you can just unlock all the different axes. You put in your phone, and then you have basically one slider that you can slide to the left and to the right, and the goal is that the gimbal stays in its position without falling over. It's pretty straightforward, and it's pretty simple with that one. On the other hand, the Crane M3 does have a few more options where you can slide things up and down and to the left and to the right, and the reason for that is that you can also use it with normal cameras, and with heavier setups it does take more balancing. When you're just using it with a smartphone, to be honest, it doesn't really matter if you balance it perfectly, because like I said, the motors are just really strong and it just handles a basic phone without any issues at all. But generally speaking, when it comes to the easiness of balancing, I feel like the Smooth 5 takes this point because it's just much easier and it's just much more intuitive for, just normal smartphone filmmakers. So this category goes to the Smooth 5. The next category that I have for you is the overall user friendliness, like how easy is it to get some great results with either of them. And like I said before, a huge part of the user friendliness also is the balancing part, and I feel like the Smooth 5 is easier to get a proper balance, but on the other hand, the Crane M3 just has stronger motors, so it does not really have to be balanced perfectly. But generally speaking, when it comes to the filming process, when you are shooting outdoors with the Smooth 5, you have the option to use the ZY Cami app that I personally don't like, and I would not recommend that you use it because it's just not using the full potential of your phone. But you have the option, and in my opinion that's the most user-friendly way of using it, but it won't deliver the best quality. But you can still connect it via Bluetooth to your smartphone so that you can still use the start and stop button to start recordings, also in the stock camera app or within Filmic Pro, for example. So that's pretty user-friendly in my opinion. And also on the front of the Smooth 5 you have a very tiny screen where you can see in which mode you're currently in, and just by pressing the mode button you can switch between them. At the back you have also a button that you can press twice to bring it back into default position. You can press it 3 times to switch the orientation to selfie mode. So it's pretty easy to use, it's pretty user friendly in my opinion. One huge advantage of the Crane M3 is that on the back of the gimbal you do have a tiny screen where you can see all the different things that you might want to adjust. So you can adjust the modes, you can turn on the light, you can adjust the balancing. So you have a ton of different options. But one downside of this gimbal is that there is no proper connection to your smartphone. For me personally, that's not an issue because I'm mostly just using Filmic Pro anyway. And you know, if I have to press my phone screen to start the recording, for me personally, that's just not a big deal. But I know that for a lot of you guys, this is a big deal and you want to have that control directly on the gimbal. I just tried it before recording this video, and as of recording of this video, it's not possible to use the buttons to actually trigger Filmic Pro, for example. Also, again, like I said before, the balancing part, it has more options. You can, you know, fine tune it more to get really to the results that you want to have. But in case you are a beginner, all the different knobs that you have, these might be a little confusing for you in the first place. So when it comes to the overall user friendliness, I think that both of them have their pros and their cons. But generally speaking, I will give this point to the Smooth 5 because it's just more, you know, just easier to use overall. And before we come to the last 2 categories, I would like to talk very briefly about Smartphone Filmmaking Pro. That's our online course. That's where we teach you guys how you can really get the absolute best quality out of your smartphone. We have over 130 videos and over 14 hours of super high valuable content. After you have taken the course, you will most definitely, you will guaranteed be a better smartphone filmmaker. We cover absolutely everything that you need to know, and in case you're interested, just click the first link below that like button. This will bring you to our totally free video training where I share the top 5 secrets to shooting cinematic videos with your smartphone. So just click the link below, check it out, and have fun. But now let's talk about probably the most important category of this comparison, and that is the smoothness of the shot. How smooth are the shots that you can get with both of these gimbals? And I have to say, if you compare both shots side by side, if you're shooting with the same phone and with the same skill set, I can pretty much guarantee you that you will not be able to see a difference between the Crane M3 and the Smooth 5. Both of them deliver absolutely amazing, absolutely smooth shots, and like I said, you just won't be able to notice any difference. Generally speaking, when you are shooting with the Crane M3, you can feel that the motors are just a little stronger. It gives you more feedback, so to say. Like I said, I cannot say like this delivers smoother shots, but it just feels a little more solid. It's kind of like comparing the Smooth 5 to the DJI OM5. There also the Smooth 5 feels way more solid. And in this comparison, the Crane M3 feels way more solid. But it's also heavier as a whole. This weighs 700 grams. This one is only like 300 something. So you can feel that and it feels more solid. But in the end, the results are pretty much the same. So when it comes to the smoothness of both gimbals, I will call this category a draw. And the next and last category that I have for you is the battery life, and that will be a pretty quick comparison. The Smooth 5 has a battery life of up to 12 hours, and the Crane M3 on its website claims that it has a battery life of only up to 8 hours. But I think that the 8 hours are like with a DSLR camera, so with a heavier setup. To be honest, I never had any problems at all with either of them when it comes to the battery life. They also charge pretty quickly, so I think that they are pretty much on par. But when it comes to what they say on paper, Smooth 5 just has a little longer battery life. But just so that you know, in real life situations, both will pretty much last forever. So now we have compared both gimbals in several different categories, and now it's time to make a conclusion, and also it's time to give you my thoughts on like for whom which gimbal is. And generally speaking, both of these gimbals are absolutely amazing. I think that these two are my favorite gimbals at the moment, and both of them will deliver you absolutely amazing results, and both of them will pretty much handle everything that you throw at it. I think the Crane M3 is for those of you that are really ambitious when it comes to smartphone filmmaking and maybe also want to dip their toe into regular filmmaking, because like I said, this has a payload of about 1 kilogram, so you will also be able to use it with several different other phones, with add-ons, with maybe also putting on a rig and lenses and filters and so on. And further down the road, maybe also putting on something like a Sony Alpha 7 or something like this. This will be able to handle this, and the Smooth 5 won't be able to handle. On the other hand, if you are an ambitious smartphone filmmaker, if you have an iPhone 13, 13 Pro, a Samsung Note 22 Ultra, or whatever it might be, basically no matter what phone you have, the Smooth 5 will pretty much be able to handle also everything that you throw at it. If you have like a 13 Pro Max and you also want to use a case and add-on lenses, I think that's where the limits of this gimbal are, and that's where only the Crane M3 will be able to handle this. Something to also keep in mind, the Crane M3 is like almost twice the price of the Smooth 5, so I think if you are, like I said, an ambitious smartphone filmmaker and you wanna, become a better filmmaker, I would just go with the Smooth 5 at the moment. Also because for beginners it's just easier to get it going with all the controls and the more user-friendly experience. But generally speaking, it comes down to your personal preference. You can't go wrong with any of them. Like I said, both are just super amazing. I love shooting both of them. Also just having the ability to turn on a light if you need it. Both of them can do that, and yeah, both just are amazing gimbals. If you guys have any more questions, make sure to write me down a comment below. I would love to help you out. And also make sure to check out the free webinar because it's jam-packed of value. But that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.